ship up to broadcast depth. We're going in.
And there you go. That's going to be the Rule Zero theme song, I think, for now. Gentlemen, hang on one second. I'll unmute you. There you are. I've got Ryan Stone. I've got Troy Francis, and I have, oh man, wait a minute. Where did I go with that? Jeez.
Oh, John survived. Thank God. Are you okay?
There, no, that's for John today. Sorry, I'm on a different soundboard.
Terrifying. Bro, did you read? There's a massive earthquake here, and I felt it in Tokyo.
Yeah. Are you okay? How massive was it? Like, is there like is Godzilla awakening and there's like a nuclear like meltdown somewhere in some?
Well, it was in Fukushima again. It was in Fukushima again. It was a 6 out of 10 on the Richter scale, but we felt it here in Tokyo, and I'm on the 19th floor, so we were really swaying up here.
Nice. Oh boy!
You should be used to that, though, shouldn't you? Every time you've swiped in the club, then it must shake to and fro as well, right?
Jesus. I Florida, I could deal with hurricanes and alligators in the water, but I can't deal with earthquakes.
Is it still echoing, guys? Is there echoes in the chat? Is it me? Who is it? Is it me? I'm not hearing an echo. Are you guys hearing an echo?
No, nothing.
No,
for once, we sound good and crystal.
Oh,
I'm not hearing echo.
Might have been me coming back from echo cancellation. I have to turn off echo cancellation when I put any kind of music or any kind of media on for whatever reason. This is the new camera setup. What do you guys think?
Very nice.
Looks good.
This is it right here.
I'd bang you.
There is a quantifiable difference between this and the Logi that I have. I've still got the Logi just in case, but this is the new A6400 that actually had a listener, reader / follower, I guess, set me up with the A6400. They knew I was going to buy the A10 Mini, and then I mentioned something about this when I was on Myron's show, and because they've got like 4 or 5 of these things around that studio, I'm like, man, I got to get me one of those. So now I do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice.
It has a little bit of latency, a little bit more, but it's okay. It's all right. I like the quality of it anyways. You can zoom in and zoom out. I'm a little weirded out by the fact that I have to go to the camera to do it. Like in the Logi, I can do it in the software, but I have to do it manually here. So anyways, I
joined you on the Rodecaster Pro soundboard. I was kind of worried if it was me with the echo. I just got the same soundboard as you.
Yeah.
Speaking of upgrades and the Stream Deck.
I'm thinking about getting a Stream Deck as well. I've got a lot of upgrades that I got coming in for my show and this show, as when I'm hosting this show as well. I'm working on a sort of a video montage, I guess, for this show and my own show to go in as like sort of intros. Not like anything like super long, maybe up all of like 10 or 15 seconds, but something to add a little bit more professionality to things. So, what do you guys got going on, man? I haven't talked to you guys in a while. This is the first time I've hosted since I think like the beginning or the middle of January, because we've been busy, man. I've been in Miami. I know John's been in Miami. You guys still can't leave your country. Troy, you guys are basically under medical martial law right now.
Pretty much. We're not allowed to leave, Rollo. You have to sign a form. You have to ask the government for permission to leave, and you have to get a form signed to get out of the country. So it's pretty bleak.
Yeah.
For us, they were a bit more free. They decided just to close down everything we could do outside. So now there's just nothing out there but -15 weather.
Oh boy. Great. And and there's an earthquake in Japan on top of all of this other great stuff.
Yep, life's pretty easy in Asia though. I'm watching the West burn. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
What's the situation in Tokyo at the moment though? Are the bars open, the clubs, restaurants?
So theoretically, we are under lockdown, but it's just like a typical Japanese save face lockdown. Yeah. They request organizations to shut down at 8 p.m. Otherwise, you'll get your name put in like a newspaper where they're like, these organizations stayed open during the government requests. Well, they just get more business. Mac is at some like dingy like underground Tokyo like grunge sex party right now. Like so, there's they're trying to suffocate the city, but it's not working.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Today we're going to play 20 questions. I opened this show up to everybody in the extended Rule Zero family today too. So I wanted to I think that there's been a generational shift, I think, in the Manosphere recently. I was thinking about doing like another State of the Manosphere address or State of the Manosphere show or something like that at some point. But one thing, as I'm kind of like going over my old predictions, such as they were, as I'm looking at the predictions and everything that I was talking about back in 2018, a lot of that, of course, comes true. I'm not saying I'm Rolodamus like everyone wants to call me, but a lot of it's coming true. And I think part of that reason, stop smiling, Ryan. Part of that reason is because we have like kind of this generational shift right now, and I'm seeing sort of this new crop of guys sort of coming into the sphere or discovering what's already been created. And you and I, Ryan, for sure, and John, I think really, when did I meet you, John? I think you and I started like connecting right around 2015 or 2016, and it was a whole different scene back then. And same with Troy.
I was calling out the frauds back then.
Yeah. And Rich I met back in 2016 as well. And so what I'm seeing right now, and I think a lot of the sort of back and forth that we're seeing in the quote unquote Manosphere. And again, I wish I had a better euphemism or term or acronym or whatever for what it is that we do. But I see a lot of these basically kids, more or less, coming into the scene, or I shouldn't even just say it's a younger generation, because there's a lot of older guys that are coming into it and finding this finding the sphere, finding the red pill, finding whatever it is that we're calling this right now. And a lot of them, like when I was, here's the reason why I wanted to do today's show. Today's show is because I started doing clips. And I know, Ryan, you started doing clips for YouTube as well. John, I know you've done quick hit stuff. I know you've got your teachable stuff going on. And every time you put something new out, it's like you have to reintroduce yourself. And so what I've had to do, and I've only put out like 3 clips, and by clips, what I mean is like YouTube is it's in beta testing right now, but you can do this if you want to.
Beta.
Yeah. Shorts.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's very much like Instagram stories or TikTok videos where it's
trying
like
to compete with TikTok.
Yeah, it's all in cell phone, portrait mode video, and you can't do them for more than 60 seconds. You have to tag them with a hashtag like shorts or something like that, I think is what
shorts,
it is.
Yeah.
And so what's happening to me is, and I knew this was going to happen, because as soon as you start putting those out there and it gets to a different audience, it goes outside the sphere, because I'm expecting like people from my communities or you guys' communities to sort of like already be aware of what we're talking about. People have requested like really short clips from me for a very long time. As you know, I do nothing but long form live streams on my own channel. And so the number one request is, it's just too long. I can't sit there and wait for 3 hours and everything. It's like, well, dude, you don't have to watch it all at once. That's the beauty of the whole thing, is like I do these so I don't have to do 10 clips per day to get the same message out that I could in like a 3-hour live stream, right? But here's the predicament though. It's getting out to other people. It's getting out to other audiences. And the first thing anybody goes is they'll listen to whatever, like if I say, here's why women give bad dating advice. Well, then you get this rash of shit from people who are like, just like, well, that's not always true, and da 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 da. And don't you think this, and don't you think that, or you didn't think about this? How about it? And it's caveat after caveat after caveat about like how you are incomplete in your analysis in your 60-second clip about one little thing that might be clipped out of a 3-hour live stream, right? And so I'm running into the TLDR generation, which is too long, didn't read. But and usually that's me doing a long form video, and they go, well, it's too long. I didn't want to. Give me the summarize this for me so that I can understand it better. You're
acting like you just found Reddit, because that's exactly what this is.
Exactly. Well, I do, but it's not just Reddit now. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's the same principles, but it's being transferred over to YouTube, to Instagram, to whatever, Discord or whatever it is. But you throw something out there that's like really quick hit, like digestible stuff, and you get into this conversation where it's like, well, you did, and so I'm dragged into what would probably be a longer than 3-hour conversation with people who, if you just watch the video, you would know what I'm talking about. And so I think a lot of people just simply aren't familiar with us enough to say, well, who are these guys? How did these guys get to be authorities? Who's Rollo Tomasi? Who's Ryan? Who's this guy who looks like Sergeant Slaughter in Japan over here? How did he get to be an authority? So I wanted to open this up a little bit today. That's why I wanted to do this 20 questions thing. I've done this before a long time ago on my own blog. And I thought it would be good because now for people who don't know who Rule Zero is, who don't know who like these, I guess the extent, we have like 10 people now technically in the extended family. It's like us 5. And then we've got Paul, we've got Myron, we've got John Fitch, and we've got Sterling Cooper right now, who are kind of part of that extended family. And then there's us and so what I wanted to do is just sort of do a kind of get to know you kind of thing. And it's also, I'm going to open this up to the chat. So if you guys want to ask questions of anybody that's in here, but we're going to keep this a little bit more like how you got here, why it is you do what you do kind of thing. And I'm going to start, and any of you guys can answer these things. So we don't have to you can answer some or none, whatever it is that you want to answer. But so I'm going to start with question number 1 here. So I'm going to throw this out to you guys, a panel that says, okay, what brought you to the red pill? What brought you to doing what it is that you're doing right now? Okay, like what brought you to the Manosphere? How did you find how did you get into doing what it is that you're doing right now? Like Paul, you've got your own thing. You're actually probably newer of all of us. But like, let's start with Ryan. Like Ryan, how did you get into this? I know it was the Reddit, the TRP Reddit, but there was also the married Reddit. So let me know what it was. Was there like some catalyst? Was there some kind of like flashpoint moment for you to get into all this?
Yeah. Hey, my name's Ryan, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah. Honestly, it's the same thing as most guys. You kind of get raised to a certain way of doing things. Like if you follow the rules, if you work hard, as long as you're really good at your job, then all that other stuff will go away. Life decided through my military career to show me all that equity I had built up serving Queen and country impeccably for a decade didn't matter once somebody decided to have a personal beef that had a little more power than me. And then it started to cause relationship issues. It kind of brought me to, and everybody kind of knows a little bit about the sphere. Oh, that's where the guys draw the green lines, right? And always some weird stuff. And that's where they're shitting on it on CNN. So I kind of got here, and then I realized, so there's a lot of other guys that did this exact same thing as me, had the exact same issues, and then just ravenously looked into it and like, all right, so how do I sort it out now? And it was essentially that, just solving a problem. The way I had modeled the world for my life worked really well until it didn't. And then when it didn't, I had to refigure things out. And luckily enough, there was a lot of guys who had been doing this already for a couple years. And then because I had already done like pickup back in the 2000s, so I was kind of used to the whole idea of systemizing, I guess self-help, for the lack of a better word. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much it. I don't want to go into too many details because I literally call them Batman origin stories. I hate how every time Batman has a new movie, they got to kill his damn parents. So,
Troy, how did you get into? I know you've been doing PUA and I guess a day game for a while, weren't you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, it was pretty much unadulterated lust. and degeneracy, really, in the sense that I was just incredibly driven by my, hormones, testosterone at a young age when I was going out and meeting all of these girls. And I started off doing it in a fairly untutored sort of way. I was just hitting the clubs in Manchester and London as well, in the UK, as well as some other places, and just basically doing a scattergun approach, meeting all these different girls, getting loads of rejections, but successes as well. But there was no sort of like rhyme or reason to it, really. Then I moved back down to London full time in about 2005, and like many people, I read The Game, and The Game taught me about game, and it taught me about sexual dynamics. And I realized, like Ryan was saying, I realized there was kind of a system here that if you applied it, you could start to be a bit more efficient and start to get more reliable results, let's say. So I did that for a while. Then I dipped out because I had a girlfriend, and dipped out again because I had another girlfriend. And then when I came back in, the red pill, if you like, was in ascendance, and I read your blog, and I read Reuty, and so on and so forth, and I started to understand that there was this body of knowledge, which was this underpinning framework, which kind of explained why all of the dating stuff works. So that was it for me, really. And then I started writing about it. I started writing for Return of Kings, which was the online magazine published by Rouge. I was sharing my experiences and pulling out lessons for the guys, and that was pretty popular. And so I just really took it from there. I realized that the stuff that was happening to me, I could create content out of it that was helpful to other people, and I enjoyed doing that, and just took it from there, really.
Oh, wow. John,
Yo.
I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to throw you on there anyways.
What do you want me to say?
I met you. I met Ryan. I think I met Ryan through the Reddit subs. Is that how I met you, Ryan? I think that's how we.
Yeah, from the Married Red Pill.
But like John, I've known off and on since 2015, I think. And
Yes.
I remember when we first started like talking and just sort of like just DMing back and forth. You are actually the guy who told me to get into crypto. So thank you very much for that, sir. But you have. I think of all the people on this panel, you have transformed what you were doing. Like 6 years, man. I have followed your evolution. So why did you get in? How did you become you? Like, and I'm not asking for the Batman, origin story, but like I know the story, but like tell everybody how you became you.
I just wanted to do this men's self-improvement thing for a while, and I started in 2015. I found the red pill by kind of like, through the Reddit for sure. When it was good, now it's just like all Asperger's, but back it was like 2013 ish is when I was really active on the forums. And I was like linking up, there's like this Tokyo circle, and, just had a good old time womanizing, and then, decided I just wanted to put something together, and because I always wanted, I had the problem, like I just wanted to red pill everybody around me, but nobody wants to hear this shit in real life. So I've realized I have to go build someplace on the internet and advertise this, and build a community from there. And I said, from here, I'll make it happen. I was never cut out for corporate work. Like I've had, very prestigious corporate jobs before, but it was just so fake, and it was just so hollow, and it wasn't me. And I just, and I'm not saying it's not for everybody. There's entrepreneurs as well. There's guys who do great inside companies, and I'm not disparaging them. But as for me, I'm just fucking wild man, and I can't be tamed by an office. And so I made my ideas. I have multiple businesses online, Airbnbs, and obviously involved in crypto heavily since 2016. But I just love doing this. I love it. I love sitting down every day, talking about stuff. I love the community. I love reading the chat. I love going in my private Telegram chats. I love every moment of it. Like Aaron Clary would talk to me the other day. He's like, you know what? He's like, you're the only person on Rule Zero that's actually happy. He's like, everybody else is kind of miserable to an extent. And he's like, and I wonder if that has something with you having to be outside of the West as well. But I mean, I got extremely lucky in the sense that I just love doing this. I love, coming on here and making fun of Ryan's terrible show and like, you know, just my awful show, everything. And I just love every day of it. It's just, I don't know. I got lucky, man. Really, that's what it
damn
boils down
earthquake.
to.
Why can't it be a Richter 9?
I know, right? Trust me, I deserve to die.
Rich Cooper, welcome to the 20 questions episode. I'll come back to you, Rich. Hang on. Paul, you're brand new to us here. So how did you, I think I know how you got into this, but you've only been really doing what you've been doing for like less than a year, about a little over a year.
Yeah. Well, on YouTube in a serious format and taking consultations and stuff this past, I'd say about a year. You know, the short end of it is I got into this stuff kind of twofold, two reasons. One is because soldiers kill themselves, unfortunately, over women and the problems that they have with women. And so dealing with soldier issues and bad choices with women, you know, like wifing up that bartender and that stripper kind of stuff, you know, that's kind of what brought me to wanting to help other people. As far as like the actual red pill, well, educationally, I mean, I was trying to figure out my way around women. You know, there were times where I was really successful and there were times where I was really not successful at all. And so I was trying to figure stuff out, you know, it wasn't like a very blue pilled marriage situation. It wasn't so good for me. So I was into Evo Psych, you know, I was reading a lot of evolutionary psychology. On top of that, though, I mean, I did do a stint of grad school until I went to on a combat tour in psychology. I was very interested in behavioral psychology and really like performance psychology too, which, you know, if you leads you to the practical aspects of things like NLP and stuff like that. And so got into all that stuff, the pick up the evolutionary psych and just really trying to understand male female dynamics and relations, and then the other things like persuasion and, you know, all that kind of stuff like that. Right. Yeah. Then I came across the red pill with through Rich's channel community, really his channel. So Rich did a video, I want to say it was like 2016. He's like, I'm red pilled or whatever. And then he plugged your book, Rollo. And so I was like, what? I don't know what red pill really means. So I started looking into it. I read your book. It was awesome. So I read all the rest of your stuff. I loved it because it was a bridge between really dry, boring Evo Psych stuff to practical proxology, usable information for guys. I thought that was awesome. And that's what kind of brought me to that. And then being in Rich's community from there, got to link up with you guys. So
nice.
The champ is here.
There we go.
The champ is here. Rich,
I think I know what you're going to say, but how did you get into this? How did you start doing what you're doing? And in a red pill, like, how'd you come to the Manosphere? I think everybody pretty much knows you had businesses and what you were doing prior to this, but like, how did you come into the Manosphere, like whatever we're calling this right now?
I think it came to me because I didn't go looking for it. I was at a men's retreat and a guy said that I should read your book, Rollo, because of some dumb choices I made in my life. And the rest is history, man. It really just started with the Rational Male. So if it wasn't for that and that day when I was talking to Tom, I wouldn't be here today.
Okay, so that's question number one. Number two is this. A lot of us, and I know John has done this as well. A lot of us in the sphere, although I guess Ryan, you're the only one that this really applies to. Cool. Is I know you're not using your real name. Everybody knows I'm not reusing my real name. Troy, is that your real name? Are you using that, or is that your that's a pseudonym?
It's a fake name. It's a fake name. I'm afraid.
Okay, so how did you come into using the name that you use online, or your personality, your online persona? Let's go with Ryan first. How did you come to Ryan Stone?
Well, Ryan actually is. It's my middle name. Originally, it's Reddit, and they always suggest when you go on there with a red pill account, make a completely different account just for that, because there was a lot of concerns about people hunting down red pill guys and doxing them. Robert Fisher, a prime example of that. And so I just picked a random thing and ended up being, I liked the Stone Temple Pilots. They were my third favorite band. And so I just called it Stone Pimple Tylists because just some random play on words.
Mhm.
And then when I went live with this, I'm like, I'm not going to call myself that for the next 10 fucking years. And I was trying to figure it out, like, what would I call myself? I figure wrestlers are good, so that way I can separate personal life from a business life if you're going to do the brand of me thing. And the girl's like, why don't you just use your middle name? And I'm like, oh, fair enough. And that's why it's got this messed up spelling, because my dad wanted to name me Ryan. And my mom says, fine, well, how can I spell it? He goes, whatever you want to do. And so she spelt it this fucked up way as her like little petty revenge against him for damning himself to think that he can name me whatever he wants.
Troy, how did you come up with Troy Francis? Is that like some libertine, mayor of the UK I'm unaware of?
Well, funnily enough, there's actually a bit of a literary basis to that name, because I'd read a book. There's a novel by Thomas Hardy, the English novelist, called Far from the Madding Crowd. And in that book, there's a character called Sergeant Francis Troy. And he's obviously a military man, but he's kind of like a swashbuckling seducer. So he's like the Chad. Okay, so there's this woman in the story called Bathsheba, and she's sort of being courted by this dull, chody guy. And then Francis Troy comes in with his sword, and it's like Zorro, and sort of seduces her. So when I was looking for a name, I thought, well, that's the kind of dude I'd like to be like. So that was basically it. And the only reason I was using it was because at the time I was still in corporate work, and I wanted to use a name that wasn't my actual name, because obviously, I didn't want to conflict with the corporate job, and that was it really. But I've just carried on with it. But to be honest, I don't think like pseudonyms and things. I think it's just, it always annoys me when people seem to think it's such a big gotcha if they reveal your real name, because it's a bit like, well, like it doesn't really matter. Whatever you want to call yourself, you call yourself. It doesn't, like you want to call yourself Tyler Durden and your real name's Owen. I mean, so what? What's important is the information that's being imparted.
Right.
So it's not Hulk Hogan you're telling me? Oh my God.
Exactly.
It's like Mark Twain, George Orwell. I mean, so it doesn't really matter what they call themselves. It's
right.
just like what's the concept.
Right. Yeah. It's funny. I of course, if you're wondering where I got the name Rollo Tomasi, go watch the movie LA Confidential and you'll see where I picked the name. It also happens to coincide with the fact that there was a very famous Viking named Rollo as well. So that kind of is also an added bonus to it. But when I picked it up, I thought it was when I hit on Rollo, everybody used a pseudonym. Right? I didn't even show my face until 2017. And again, for the same reasons you're talking about, Troy, is that it's this semi-anonymity. I don't think anybody really has any real privacy. Certainly not today. If you're online, if you're a brand of me in any way, if you have an Instagram account, you can just basically give up privacy as it is, anyways. Yeah. But like, it always was a natural fit for me because, like, I come from like the metal scene where everybody changes their name to Sid Vicious or I mean, even Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, those guys don't. That's not their real names, but that's what they go by, and that's what everybody knows them as. So, is it a big reveal if you call him, Gene Klein, which is what Gene Simmons' real name is? Probably not. So, and when it comes to authors as well, it's like Stephen King. I forget. I'm wondering. I think Dean Koontz is also a pen name, but everybody's used pen names for a long time. It's like, what's the big deal? Everybody does it online anyways. Yeah. In fact, I think it's kind of funny right now because it used to be that we would, pick a pseudonym because we wanted some sort of protection, right? That's why I chose Rollo Tomasi, the guy who gets away with his crimes, right? Because like I was talking about stuff that would like get me fired or would incur the wrath of Karen kind of thing. And now it's just like it just stuck. I wrote all my books under this name, so that's just what people know me as. So that's fine.
Exactly. And it's true. It's true as well. Certainly with the game stuff, the pickup stuff. In the early days, everyone was just making up pseudonyms. That's just how it was. And I'm reading this game memoir that somebody's written at the moment, and it describes going on a boot camp, and the instructors were called Diamond and Suave, right? Which is kind of a bit ridiculous
Mystery.
Now when you look back on it.
Yeah, Mystery's not his name.
But that's just how it was. It's just what people did, and it doesn't matter.
Plus, you notice a lot of brands online using their own real names. They buy into their own mark and they start believing like, oh, I'm Z-level famous on the internet. And they're like, yeah. Mm-hmm. I like the idea of, okay, this is my personal life and this is the work life. And I think that's very important from a psychological health standpoint that there's a separation there. So I don't start looking at, do you see all those brands now that are like having miscarriages and posting that shit on Instagram?
Yeah.
Like, I want to avoid that crap like the plague, or parading around your kids to be such a great trad dad, and meanwhile you're showing off like a 13-year-old daughter on Instagram, and that won't backfire. It's like all of that, man. No, screw it.
Yeah, it's part of your
Little
digital.
ranty.
Rich, I know you. That's your real name, Rich. So
Yeah.
and
Oops.
Oops.
have you ever been under any other pseudonym? Paul, John. I know you've never really used anything other than just John as your name, but
Not really. Like I use different names for gaming avatars that I've had before, obviously. But aside from that, I mean, obviously didn't think this thing through like you guys did. I was just kind of talking about cars and entrepreneurs and what it takes to get there. And one day some guy said, you should talk about the kind of women not to date. And I was like, okay, I'm Rich Cooper. Let's talk about these 3 crazies, that I got involved with, and just kept going from there. But I see the need for it because there's some nutters out there. But at the same time, I've been self-employed. At the point when I was making videos, I was self-employed for at least a dozen years. And the thought didn't even cross my mind that I would be doxxed or lose my job or get fired. I mean, nobody's going to fire me. Like, I'm self-employed. I've already made my money. Like, I don't care. So,
Yeah.
like, I never thought about any kind of protective layers when I got into this.
Did you ever get any pushback from exes, though, Rich? Did you ever get any sort of ex-girls that you've been out with saying, oh, I've seen you've done these videos about me?
Oh, yeah. Stuff? Oh, yeah. All of
but
it.
So
all of it. All of it. Yeah,
so what?
It's crazy, but I mean, like, they always circle back if you've got a footprint. I mean, I've got I think it's over 55 million views on my channel now. So I mean, at some point, somebody that knows me is going to know it, then kind of pass it on. So I've gotten emails or DMs from all of them at some point. Mostly lukewarm to warm. There was one that just kind of like went full diarrhea shat on me. But overall, like it's like whatever. I mean, I don't really care what the opinions of other people are. I mean, they're always like, well, what do you think of so and so? And they said this about you, and Rich has that. It's like lions don't care about the opinions of sheep, right?
Okay, let's move on to question 3, because I already know John and Paul, you guys are using your real names. So question number 3 is this, and then I'll throw this out to the panel. We'll start with John with this one. So what is the best advice and the worst advice you've ever gotten from somebody outside the manosphere about women and intersexual dynamics? Ooh. The worst and the best before you came into all of this.
Oh my God. I asked some chick about dating advice, how to find a good person. She's like, you just got to go with what feels right. That was really bad advice. Good advice I received outside of the manosphere. Just, are we talking about girls or just in general?
In general, like but from guys or girls, like the worst and the best before you became like quote unquote red pill, or you came into the sphere.
I think the best piece of advice I got was they said, you should work on becoming self-employed because it's the best quality of life. And I agree with that. And then
you're welcome.
Yeah. That was way before you, Rich. I was born a hustler. But definitely that was one of my eye-opening moments. And then worst advice, like, I don't know. I was involved in the church for decades. How much time you got? Get married at a young age and have children. And that's what they were trying to get me to do at 19, get married to some heifer. No, thank you. Not on my watch.
Rich, what's the best or the worst or both advice you ever got before you came into this sphere?
Just marry her.
Yeah. Awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. Seriously.
So that was the worst. That was the worst advice.
That was it, man. Nobody took me, aside and said, "Hey, you might want to look at these things over here." It was like, I'm looking at these things. Spidey senses are tingling, and all I got was, just marry her.
Yeah. No thanks.
What could possibly go wrong?
Paul, what was the best and the worst advice you ever got before you came in here?
Oh God, a lot of bad advice. I would say, be the nice guy and take care of her, and just really try to earn her, and it's going to pay off someday. That was the thing. I grew up with a single mom situation, and that was what was crammed down my throat. You just be this nice guy, be the nice, kind, caring guy that just does all the things for the women. All right. And then they'll love you for it later. basically illustrating epiphany stage and strategic pluralism and, the beta settling down situation that I just keep placating to these women. And I'm going to get walked over and stuff when I'm younger, but when I'm older and they want to settle down, it'll finally pay off. And I get that couldn't be anything more terrible than that, because there are guys literally doing that today still, and it's not good. Best advice, probably when I started actually getting better with women, I had one of my friends who's very bluntly tell me that I need to tell these hoes what to do. And he got mad at me one day. He said, "Why are you stop being nice to these hoes, P? You got to tell these hoes what to do." And I was like, "Oh, you know what, bro? You're right. You're right. This isn't working for me." And then that's kind of changed things up a little bit for me.
Ryan, what was the best and or worst advice you ever got before you came into the sphere?
I think Aaron was right. Maybe I am a miserable person. All right, so this is a weird answer.
He's projecting.
I never got any.
You.
Yeah, I never got
Projecting
any.
onto you.
Probably, but I never got any advice on anything, and
Really?
I think that's actually worse. Nobody told me anything. I wasn't told best advice. I wasn't told worst advice. I was just nothing much but indifference, and that's kind of, I think, worse, because at least bad advice, somebody's trying to help or somebody does give a shit. It worked out for me because then it was just literally I had nothing to go on but what did I want, and that's changed over time. But yeah, technically, the only advice I ever got that I can remember was on my grad party. I took my grad partner to my high school on like a horse and carriage because I lived on a ranch.
Mm-hmm.
And my stepdad looked at her. He's like, "Why aren't you on her like a dirty shirt?" Right in front of her, by the way. And the 17-year-old me was just like, "Oh my God, sleeping with a girl? How do you say that? You can't say that." That was probably the only advice I ever got as growing up at all. And that was the only one I never took.
Mm-hmm.
Done. I got nothing.
Man, Troy, I'll put you on, but you're Troy's off right now. I'll tell you what mine is actually. Mine's easy. The worst advice I ever got when I was, prior to being what I guess what people call red pill now was
Anthony Johnson.
Yeah, well, no, that's after. That's post Manosphere. I can't use that one. Yeah, you should really try this convention. No, I think my first awakening. I think people always ask me like, when was your red pill moment? When did you unplug? It was a gradual process. It was like a lot of people think that like when I talk about my brother-in-law committing suicide, that was definitely part of it. But I think the aftermath of that really kind of woke me up to a lot of things. Or it made, I shouldn't say that, it made me start thinking about things I was already aware of, but I took them more seriously, I think, after that. But my first sort of education, I think, was reading Why Men Are the Way They Are by Dr. Warren Farrell. And that's kind of an old book right now. I still think that a lot of the principles in it were sort of timeless, but I mean, remember this thing was like published in 1986. And the worst advice I have ever gotten, and I'm sure you guys will probably agree with this, is just be yourself. And everything will fall. You're such a nice guy. Don't worry. Any girl would be happy to be with you. Just not me. Just not now. Hey, tell you what, if we're both single at 30, we'll get married then, kind of thing. Then, that's funny. Let's go and make a sitcom out of that. But the idea of just be yourself and things will fall into line. I think it sort of it taps into the fallacy of authenticity. Like you're perfect the way you are. Don't worry about it. Don't be judgmental. The right one is out there. And that was the other thing I was going to say, is a belief in the soulmate, a belief in there's one perfect person out there for you. And you're just waiting to find the one. And I didn't realize just how like pervasive that mythology is, not just for women, but for guys as well. And I think the idea of, just be yourself and the one will just drop in your lap is probably the worst advice I ever got prior to the Manosphere. The best advice, I think, was sort of, don't overthink it. Just go and like say yes to things, do things, get out there and move. And basically what it was an advice of default to action, which is what we would call it today. But I didn't realize, that was how important it was back then to to put yourself out there, to go and to put yourself into a position sometimes that are uncomfortable for you, but like that's how you learn, that's how you do things. So I would say that's probably the best advice I've ever had. Okay, so that's let's move on to question 4. This is going to be a real interesting one. Have any of you ever or do you still ever lurk on other people's accounts? Do you ever go to forums? Do you ever are you interested in what other people are sort of talking about when it comes to like the Manosphere, or what it is, like your own brand stuff? I know a lot of us, when it comes to like sort of putting ourselves online, we kind of look at what other people are doing as well. But is there like any account? Do you have like any sort of like guilty pleasure that you sort of like you follow along just for the sake of it, or for just the education of it? Let's go with John.
I shit post a lot on LinkedIn to show my old colleagues like, fuck you, I made it. I shit post a lot on LinkedIn. It's bad. It's my dirty little habit. But other than that, not really. I'm just focused on my I like watching Aaron Clary's stuff because it's like so miserably true, and I just feel vindicated watching America burn. Because I'm like, yeah, I got out. You idiots. Enjoy your fucking hell. And, that's just like my guilty pleasure. But other than that, I'm just like kind of a pleasure seeking guy. Just all day, just out like, can I eat something good? Can I exercise? Can I go on a date? Can I go buy something cool? Can I make some money? I don't know. I'm just trying to be optimistic going through this existential nightmare called life.
Rich Cooper, are there any like accounts you follow? Are you in any forums that like would be like considered sort of a guilty pleasure or something like that? Like people, like it would surprise people that you're on there. Or are there people that you like? Who do you follow that you think is worth following?
Not like no to forums. I was never on Reddit. I'm not familiar with it. I would say, I mean, I used to probably take a look at what other people would do, and sometimes what they had to say about me. But I learned a long time ago that that's not a good use of my time, so I stopped that. I don't even read comments in my videos anymore. I mean, I'll sort my comments by members only, and I'll look for questions that people have asked that I can respond to. That's about it. But as far as outside of that, I watch you guys. There's some guys that are my students in my Entrepreneurs Brotherhood that, of course, run channels and are trying to build their business. So I keep an eye on stuff that they're doing, and sometimes I touch base with them and say, hey, you might want to consider this instead of doing that. But aside from that, no, not really.
Troy, you follow anybody?
Following people, I tell you who I'm enjoying at the moment, who is peripherally sort of connected with this space, but isn't really in the sort of the red pill space, if you like. He's James Tusk, who's a day game guy, British guy, good looking, bit of a Chad, but he really puts the work in. He's got a ton of videos up. It's all like lots of approach videos, lots of instructional videos. He does live streams and stuff as well. And he's over in Mexico at the moment. In fact, actually, I think he skipped it into Brazil now, but he was in Mexico. So he's doing some streams from Mexico and stuff. And I've interviewed him. I've done a few shows with him, but I just genuinely like his content as well. I think it's really cool, very informative, very actionable, and it's good to see people traveling about and see what they're up to. So yeah, I really like his stuff.
Ryan, anybody? Are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still there. I got an admin ban like about a year ago because some purple pill debaters were mad because I kind of shit on a soccer mom in there who was talking tough about the red pill being misogynist. And I'm like, well, your baby's colic because you have no stable schedule. I guess calling a girl a bad mother is one of those things that they just don't like. But every now and again, I go on there. I like to kind of see if there's anything new, but like once a month, maybe respond to some people. Yeah, I don't follow Manosphere content. I hate to say it, but I can't even keep up with U5 or U6 or maybe having it all together. Once I'm able to watch all of Rich's, Rolo's, Paul's, like Myron and John, if I can watch all your stuff, then I'll watch some hater stuff. But most of the stuff I watch is usually like escapism. I love Vaporwave. I love watching guys who do like Vaporwave breakdowns, those kind of channels. I love watching speed running for some reason. It's something I'm just addicted to. I don't know why, but somebody playing Super Mario Brothers in 4 minutes and 50 seconds is just absolutely mind-boggling to me. That's the big ones for me. And then a lot of times, like a lot of cinematographers, editors, camera people, like those types, because I actually have some interest in this craft of making videos. And so I watch people who are better at it and learn from them. But that's mostly it. And then, last thing.
Good.
I actually like following, there's a couple Tumblr girls I follow. Not for the reason you think, though. I do it because they are probably the most well-read people of the Manosphere, short of like the guys here.
Do you
Like,
read
I'm
it while you braid your wife's hair?
I'm actually very annoyed that some chick on Tumblr can tell me more about Ian Ironwood and Rollo Tomasi than like 500 Red Pill Alpha 420 people out there with like 100,000 person brands. It's very annoying. But it's neat. It's neat to see, because then when they come up with critiques, it's actually stuff that I need to address, because they know enough to know where the weak spots are. You know what I mean? That's my guilty pleasure.
I appreciate
and braiding
the
my wife's hair,
vulnerability.
apparently.
I appreciate the vulnerability. That takes a lot of balls. Takes a lot of balls.
Paul, give me a couple of names. Throw a couple of names out there.
Paul can't read. You guys know that.
Jesus.
I don't even.
John's out for blood today. Jesus Christ.
I was just staring at my window when my mind was going blank, and I don't even know what we're talking about right now. What's going on? You know, get out. I got this chick underneath my desk. That's what's happening right now. So actually, guilty pleasure is I'm a total dork when it comes to studies. I'll look stuff up and I'll start reading clinical trials and studies and stuff in EvoPsych. I'm a complete nerd with that. As far as anyone's content, man, it's hard to keep up. Like my brain is tired from dealing with consultations and getting into other dudes' problems and stuff. And then you're like, oh, like you do that for a few hours a day or whatever, you know, you do, 4, 5, 6 hours of that. You're like, yeah, I'm not, I'm going to listen to Patrice O'Neill, or something like that. You know what I mean? That's like more comedic or whatever. But sometimes I'll listen to Rollo's rants, when you do your like 2.5,
Rollo's
3.5 hours.
The name of my clip
Just do your rants.
Rollo's rants.
Rollo's rants. There
Rollo's
it is.
Rants, man. That's it.
And I'll just
baby. Play that.
Guys, leave Rollo Damas alone.
Ryan and Carl's stuff too in the morning. Like I'll throw that on when I'm doing stuff, man. When you guys do that, your red mornings or whatever. When I'm just doing BS. But it's hard for me to keep up though on everybody's stuff. But especially to get outside of you guys, what will happen though is somebody will bring something to my attention. Someone will be like, oh, like this Corey Wayne dude or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, okay, well, who's this guy? And then I'll look him up, you know what I mean? Or I'll see, and then I'll be like, what the hell is this guy? Or whatever. Yeah, that usually is my reaction to a lot of that stuff. But that's about it.
I'm kind of scatterbrained these days. Usually like last year I was really focusing on self-publishing, because every time I publish a new book, it's usually 2 or 3 years after the book that I've done before. And so like things change in the industry over that time, like really rapidly. So I'm like trying to stay on top of like, production methods and stuff like that. It just depends on what I'm sort of focusing on at that time. But I'm kind of like Ryan. It's like, I still, by the way, lurk on So Suave, in case you guys are wondering. I have an account there that I've never like closed out. I was a moderator right up until about 2014, 2015 on So Suave. I still think it's one of the best forums, if that's your thing, that's out there. I mean, it's almost 20 years old now. So I highly recommend SoSuave.net if that's something that you're into. But as far as like staying abreast of things, I like to do video production. I try to. There's so many things that I have to like. It's like playing whack-a-mole. You have to stay on top of so many different things, like what's going on, like what's trending, on YouTube. Plus, how do I get my Sony A6400 to work? How do I get this thing to work? But as far as guilty pleasures that might surprise people, I doubt it will surprise you, but I subscribe to a lot of like guitar accounts like Ola England. I really enjoy his, and just for the entertainment value. I don't know if you guys don't know who Ola is, but he's a Swedish, I think I'm going to get this wrong. He's probably Norwegian. guitar player for the Haunted, and he has like super popular YouTube channel, and it's more so because he's funny and he's like a comedian, but he's like very entertaining, and you get some information out of it too. And I love his delivery, so that's kind of one of my things. What'd you say here? It says, thank you, gents, for all you do. New to the Red Pill community, getting better, but having tough time getting the beta simp disgustingness off of me. Yeah, that's always a thing. All right, so here we go. This is the question. My God, we're never going to get through all 20 of these. Question number 5 is this. What is your notch count? And should notch count be a measure of success when it comes to the Red Pill, when it comes to the Manosphere, whatever? So let's start with Ryan. What's your notch count, Ryan?
We already did this one. I'll tell you this. I have a higher notch count than the biggest day game account on Twitter right now, which I believe is 8 in the last 10 years.
Oh,
At least he tried.
Yeah, at least he tried. As far as doesn't count, that's actually chapter 1 in my book, was when I thought notch count mattered, and it made the biggest difference ever until I met a girl that I had slept with not that I didn't even remember her name, I didn't remember her. She had to describe the night to me, and I had it come back like some Memento flashback. And that's when I realized it doesn't really matter if you're not going to remember it anyway. And it was like a really enlightening experience for me to realize I don't have to be chained to a notch count. But then it was big enough that I wasn't insecure about it either, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
So, yeah.
John, what's your notch count?
It's like
matter.
Like 226-ish, around there.
Mm-hmm.
Should it matter? It depends. I think a lot of guys, you know why a lot of success advice is really bad in the blue pill normie world, is because they don't factor in real life risks that men actually face today when it comes to success. Like, you make a lot of money, get your 6-pack abs, get rich as shit, but sometimes they get rich and then the first girl to give them some attention is as a single mom or some train wreck of a chick, and they simp out and they do the worst things. They get married, they have a kid, and then they get dragged through the divorce machine, and then they're this is a financially top 10% kind of guy, just gets completely fleeced. So I mean, I absolutely believe if you want to avoid the pitfalls that the average man is subject to, you've got to figure out dating in the sense of not just fucking girls, but having sex is I don't see that as an accomplishment. It's just yeah, you had sex, so what? That's easy for me. But do you understand female nature? And more importantly, can you control them? And not physically, but in the relationship, to do your biddings and help build up yourself and be on your purpose. That is the real sign of a pimp. And if you could do that and you get an army of chicks, okay, my phone lit up when that earthquake went off. Everybody was calling to check up on me. And I think it's absolutely a prerequisite, because you see these dudes look at Roosh, right? So let's be honest, he knew how to get chicks, but he didn't know how to manage chicks and manage the outcome. And now he's lost his mind and he's broadcasting his insanity to the fucking internet. This guy's literally gone off the fucking deep end. And this is what happens when you don't understand female nature. This is a mystery. Again, another guy get to his 40s, has no money to show for it. Complete meltdown. Was at the top of the world, was famous, was on TV. Everybody was talking about him. And he didn't capitalize because he didn't have his fucking his female game tightened up, and he's having breakdowns in his 40s, talking about he has to go get a nursing degree. Dude, you fucked up. So yes, it is so important. Notch count is important if you are doing it to understand the different types of women out there. Yeah. Absolutely, it's irrefutable. If you have those experiences, you are worth your weight in diamond, Bitcoin, whatever valuable metal or precious item out there you want to use.
Rich, what's your notch count, and do you think it should be used as a metric of success?
First question, I have no idea. I stopped counting in my 20s. But as far as a metric of success,
yeah. The reason let me add a little bit more. The reason why I say this is because I think a lot of guys think, particularly guys who are either outside of the sphere or like still stuck in sort of their blue pill mindset, they think that you're flexing on them because you say, hey, I've had 40 chicks, right? Or I've been with 300 chicks or whatever.
No, I don't think it matters. I think
measure of success.
I think that you can learn everything you need to know about women. It could be at 30, it could be at 300. I don't know. I mean, I didn't figure out until I was like Rational Male book 1. I was like 40 something, 41, 42, right? So I didn't really see the code in the matrix until then. So I don't think it's that relevant. All it is just, an indicator of, I guess, what your capacity is to slay. But I don't know. I mean, I got bored of counting my 20s. I just lost count, to be honest with you.
Troy, what do you think, man? What's your lay count? And do you think it should be used as do you think, let me rephrase this. Do you think that lay count is like guys use this as sort of like validation for themselves? Like they measure their success by the amount of chicks they've got with?
Yeah, for sure. And listen, as an English gentleman, I think it would be remiss of me to reveal an exact figure, but it's in the 3 figures. I'm somewhat in Rich's camp in the sense that I don't know the exact figure because it's just a lot of it's very hazy, from back in the day, overindulging a little bit in certain things, and it all gets lost in the midst of time. We're talking a decent 3 figure, so I've got no worries on that score. But yes, I think that guys do use it as validation. And in terms of is it important or not, I mean, it's only important in regards to the kind of life that you want to lead. I mean, if you are somebody who's like, yeah, I want to have my fun as a young man, and then I want to go and meet somebody and start a family, then it doesn't. Why does it really matter? If you're a kind of degenerate, kind of last guy standing in the bar kind of character, and you're very driven by having hedonistic experiences, then sure, you want to rack up the numbers. But it doesn't. I don't think anything should be seen as a sort of an arbiter of have I got this many or not. Okay, well, I'm a failure or I'm a success on that basis. Certainly not something like sleeping with women, because like John said, I mean, that yes, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's really, really important when you're not getting it. Sex is incredibly important when you're not getting it. But as soon as you've worked it out, and as soon as you're over that threshold, then it drops down to being, in some ways, the least important thing. Because there's so much more in life that is more important than it. Like, building a great life for yourself or doing something of value, being on your mission, all that kind of stuff. So, I don't think it's in any way should be seen as a measure of a guy's worth at all. But, at the same time, you want to get it sorted so that you're, you've got a bit of experience under your belt for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let me move on to this next one. I'm going to start with you, Paul, for this one. What is, oh, wait a minute. Let me put us back here. What is where'd it go? What was your worst and best experience with a wife, girlfriend, or chick, whatever girl that you've been with thus far? Post or pre red pill? The best and or worst.
Best and or worst. Well, all I can think of is bests. I can't really think of.
All right, just go with that.
Worsts. Well, I'll go with the worst one. I guess when I was really young and a teenager, and I brought some girl flowers, pretty much right after the juices were drying from the previous dude that was over, it was just bright. And I was like a kid. I was like, couldn't even, drive yet. I had my mom take me over to her house and had bought flowers for her birthday. And I was doing what I was told would be, you're supposed to do those things. Right. And of course she would end up, screwing the dude who could barely shower more than a couple times a week, and real dirt bags and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so that was I would say that would be worst experience is simping for girls when I was like a teenager and just looking like an idiot, all the time. Best experience, I would say, just not even the threesomes and stuff like that, like with my LTR, but I would say just having those really deep marathon sex sessions, where she's so blown out that like you touch her and like just a simple
I'm sore.
She's like and then she passes out and she's snoring like
I think I know what your worst is. So like if you want to just talk about your best, I'm good with that too. I hate, I was coming through these questions. I'm like, one of the things that I always get thrown at me all the time is like, if it's somebody I'm interviewing with who's unfamiliar with me, or they're unfamiliar with the Manosphere, the red pill, the first thing that out of their mouth is, who hurt you? Like there's got to be some experience that brought you to becoming this antisocial, misogynist, chauvinist son of a bitch that you are right now. But I'm not going to say that, but who hurt you? But so like, if you want to talk about like what your best is, I think I know what your worst is, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, the worst experience I've already talked about, so that's already known. I don't know the best. I don't know. I've had so many. A lot of them were pre and post red pill. I mean, but when you tie it into the intimacy level and you have things like women totally in your frame and like a menage a trois several times, those are probably the best. Like, isn't the most fun? But I mean, like on a day-to-day basis, it's definitely now. Like after taking the red pill, like you've got frame control. You knock shit tests out of the park. Everything's just better. It's just, you just have a far better experience as a man, right?
Mm-hmm. John, what is the best and or worst experience you've had with women, either pre or post you becoming you?
Oh, I remember one time I was selling weed, and I sold weed to this chick that I used to work with at Olive Garden, and she was really hot, and I was like, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna sell some weed to this girl, trying to fuck her. And then she got into my car and she like was covered in tears. I was like, oh no. And I was like, what? I was like, okay, you okay? She's like, yeah. She's like, something terrible just happened. I was like, oh God. I was like, what happened? And then she's like, well, I just got an abortion. She's like, she's 21. She's like, she's crying. She's like, I just got an abortion. I killed my baby. I feel guilty. I feel this and that. She's like, so I need to smoke weed. And then I took the money and I was just like, oh, it was like blood money. It was like 30 pieces of silver. I just felt terrible. It was just like, it was an experience I did not want to be involved in. I just kind of got pulled into it. And it was so quick and dirty and fast. I was like, oh God, so that would have to be it for sure. It was just a dark part of red pill nature I didn't want to see. And that's why a lot of these bitches are miserable. Like 7 abortions under their fucking belt by the time they're 30. Like, come on. It's just stark reality I don't want to deal with.
Jeez. Ryan, what's the best and or worst experience you had with a woman?
What is it with guys going to Japan and girls crying during sex? I just don't get to be honest, I answered this question already. That was the entire thesis of my first book, Fuck Files, in Amazon stores right now. Go check it out. Links in the description.
There you go.
I couldn't think of a best or a worst. So I just had the 15 most noteworthy examples. Now, of the 15 chapters, I would say it's a tie between the 3. The one is where I plated my now common law wife, 11-year anniversary coming up. Because that one, I really did, like, all points were firing on that game. Like, the cube, butterflies in the stomach, like the approach, the opener, the everything. I think she was 19 when I first plated her. We've been together for a long time since then. That was tied with the flight attendant in Dubai, only because of the sheer absurdity of it. Like, I didn't even want to sleep with her, but my buddy Dave did, and I didn't want him to win because I thought he pissed me off like a week ago. She was like 6'4", by the way, and they had like one of those fez caps with the wig for the Omani Air flight attendants, and I was wearing it, and it's just the whole thing is a big awkward mess.
You're wearing it when you're smashing?
Yeah. But even doggy style, her legs were so long, I had to basically like sit here and like one of those, pygmies just like standing up.
Complete meme bait. Somebody has to meme that.
Oh, dude. And then the third one was this chick, Rose. I remember this because it was my fastest. 15 minutes from meet to lay. She was cheating on her husband, and she was talking, or fiance, she's talking about how great he was while I'm balls deep, which threw me off. And I got to say, if you want to talk about being red-pilled, don't get cheated on, get zeroed out. That's not it. Be the guy on the other side of that equation. That will red pill you right quick, because The chicks that treat you like Chad are way more honest with you.
Mm.
And I've seen a lot of guys, that's what freaks them out. So those would be my biggest 3 on it. But if you want to see all 15 and the philosophical undertones of all of it, you'd have to just get the book and read it for yourself.
I was asked this question, well, something similar to this, on Myron Gaines' show when I was out there in Miami. They say, like, what was the weirdest place you ever had sex, or what was the best place you ever had sex, or like, what was the best sexual experience you ever had? And that's not technically this question. I mean, I left it open ended on purpose, but like, I answered that I had sex in a church at one time. Now nobody was actually in the church; it was empty at that time. So, and that was when I was saying, I think I was 17 or 18 years old when that happened. But that wasn't actually my best. I think one of the best experiences, I kind of knew that I had sort of changed into somebody different back when I was about 22 years old, and I was playing gigs and having women drag me into the women's bathroom to have sex with me before a gig. That's when I knew, okay, something's changed here. My experience is changing with women, and my understanding of women has changed. And it was at that point where I kind of thought, okay, now I can be this person. I can do this now. Okay, I got one more. I got another question here for you guys. We'll start with Troy. Troy, have you ever been friend zoned? And if you have been, were you able to get out of it? And what did you do with that situation?
Oh man, I mean, yeah, friend zoned many times as a younger guy, for sure. It happened to me a lot before I understood the principles and the fact that you just being in the friend zone is your fault. Like you don't accept being in the friend zone. If that's the frame that's proffered to you, you walk away. At school, many times got put in the friend zone. I remember one time though with a girl. I was working in a nightclub, and there was a girl who used to come in a lot, and I sort of asked her out. And she was nice to me, but she kind of put me in the friend zone. Nothing really happened. And this was in Manchester, which is a reasonably small city. And then I went into my sort of first player phase, if you like. And I sort of changed up the way that I looked, and I was meeting all these different girls, and I was sort of visibly in around town with, quite a few different girls and everything like that. And what do you know? Then suddenly I was now working in a new place. She started coming into this new bar where I was working. And, all of a sudden, she likes me. All of a sudden, she's waiting at the end of the bar for me at the end of the night so that we can go off together to have drinks and go elsewhere. And, it's just so powerful how pre-selection works, and how, frankly, a bit of a jealousy plotline also works, and that to me, that's really the only way that you can get out of the friend zone. And that wasn't even intentional. I wasn't doing that for her. That was just, I was just going on to other things, and she noticed, and it made me more attractive to her. But that's the only real way that I know to sort of get out of a situation like that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to make her feel something.
Paul, have you ever been friend zoned? And have you ever got out of the friend zone?
Oh, yeah. I was not just Captain Sabaho when I was younger. I was the general of the Sabaho army. I was saving all the hoes and friends with all of them when I was younger. And I finally got pissed off and realized what male orbiting was before that was even a term, and decided, like, I'm not doing this anymore, basically. And I remember calling two of my friend girls up that I was deeply in the friend zone with, that I wanted, to pursue for something more than friends. And I didn't like call them up, rather, but it was when we ended up talking, and I ended up saying, hey, you know what? This isn't working for me anymore. Put that boundary down. I said, I'm not just going to be friends with you and listen to all your problems and all the things that you're going through with some guy that you're banging. I'm just not interested in that. That I want something more than just a friendship. And so it just isn't working for me, and basically set my standard. They got mad at me, of course. And I was a huge, jerk for ruining a friendship. And then one of them had called me a couple weeks later, and we started banging. So that's how that worked out. Just simply by setting a standard and saying, I'm not gonna be in this zone. Either we don't have anything, or we have something on my terms. That seemed to make it work out. I get, so that got me out of it.
Rich, have you ever been friend zoned in your life, like prior to you being you?
Yeah. Definitely a few times in my teens and my early 20s. I remember this one girl, I used to talk to her on the phone all the time, man. It was like, it was absurd. It wasn't even hours or like days of time on the phone. It was like weeks. It was just ridiculous. And I figured that I could friend my way into a relationship with her. There was another one that I also recall from high school that was best friends with my best friend's girlfriend, if that makes sense. So the four of us used to hang out a lot. And I was super keen on her for a while. And I remember this one year I bought tickets for the four of us for the Cult playing at the Sky Dome. I think Bonham was opening. And my whole plan was, well, if we go as a group, then I can work my way into it, kind of like sly out of the friend zone sort of thing. But never worked out, man. Like I remember we did this for like a good 6 to 8 months. We did this road trip down to Florida. I got all like busted up when I saw her throwing away attention to like alpha chads on the volleyball court down there. And I started writing these poems. I think I still have them in this old briefcase somewhere downstairs in like stacks of boxes. Dude, I wrote songs. That's how simpy I was. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did you ever make a mixtape for any of them?
Oh yeah, I made mixtapes and mixed CDs, definitely. Yeah,
I made a Christian worship music mixtape. Pop that. Pop that right there.
Okay, I'm going to move on to John here in just a second, but I want to point out that one of the reasons I'm like asking questions like this is because again,
these are all great questions, by the way.
The point of this whole thing is like like I said, a lot of guys either don't know who we are or what we're doing. Like they're coming into this right now. And I think a lot of guys, because I get this all the time, and maybe you guys do too. It's like people think that, well, you're made rich. You have, you're a multi-bazillionaire or whatever. You're driving McLarens around and you have a lifestyle that these guys are just, it's a dream lifestyle for them. Even Troy over there, in full lockdown is still living a better life than 90% of the guys who are just now coming into this right now. And I think that a lot of guys think that, you just sort of were born on, third base and you hit a home run or you hit a triple, kind of thing. And I think it's important for guys to understand that we are the results, like what we're at, where I'm living, where everybody, like at my age or what I've done in the past, I've got 4 books out. John is John, Ryan's Ryan. I think that a lot of people think that we're just sort of this enigmatic thing, guys who just did something right. And the reason why I'm effective at what I do is because I did everything wrong. So in some way, I guess this is sort of humanizing, but in another sense, I think that it's necessary so people understand sort of the process of going from like sort of zero to hero. Because, we're talking about Rich Cooper writing, songs and making mixtapes for girls and things like that. So here's the next question, and this is for John. Have you ever had a chick or chicks offering their pussy to you on a platter and you blew them off for whatever reason? Why did you do that? And if they offered the pussy on a platter to you at a bar or a convention or a conversation or even at their place and you blew them off, why did you do something like what was the purpose of that? And what was the response or the reaction of that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Have you ever turned down sex based on what was?
No. I've heard. I have a specific moment in mind for sure. I remember one time I went out and I was this one I was just first getting into like understanding the online business. And I had this mentor at the time, but he was running a scam. I didn't know this. He was a con artist, right? And he would always go to this VIP and at this bar where his girlfriend worked and spend retarded amounts of money. And I would drive them around because, he didn't want to crash. And I was learning from him, right? But I didn't know that he was running this whole thing. One time we were there at night, and then this hot white chick, she was a New Yorker. She came up to me, and she like 100% just was coming up to me. It was last call. It was like 2:15. She was shooting a shot. She wanted to fuck for sure. I looked good that night too. And it was just, I felt like a hot chick. I was just like, no, bitch, not tonight. You're not getting it. I just felt good rejecting her. And I understand why girls, blow off guys all the time. Sometimes they just don't feel like having sex at the moment, and despite looking really, really good. And it's a bit of an ego thing. But yeah, I did 100%. I blew it off. And she was a hot blonde white chick too. It was
so basically free money on the table, and you just said, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah, it was at Rock Room, Orlando, Florida. If you guys know Rock Room. It was on a Sunday.
Ryan, have you ever turned down sex? Have you ever? And why?
Dude, to have a nap. The sailings. I used to be in the Navy, obviously, and had a huge hectic sailing schedule when I was doing pickup. The whole reason I learned it was because I had no time to have a sex life. And I remember this. Played at a girl. The next day, she wanted to show me off to her friend. And then after that, her friend was going to take off, and then she was going to stay around and hang.
Mhm.
But I was so tired from the sale that week I had done that she drove 45 minutes come down see me. I just napped, slept through the whole thing. She buzzed my thing for like 5 minutes. And the consequence is that is she never talked to me for 2 years.
Oh man!
But then after that, she wanted to get, our ship has this annual party that our namesake city puts on for us. But it's invite only, so it became the most exclusive party. You could go hang on a naval base and ride a mechanical bull on top of a missile, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to get invited to this party, but her normal hookup refused to invite her. And so she just she called me again to hook up. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Nothing really happens, and they come around or they don't.
Troy, have you ever turned down sex, and why?
Indeed. I have indeed. I've turned it down many times, actually, because I'm quite picky. Do you know what I mean? I get a sense where I'd almost rather go home and have a cup of tea if the woman isn't. I don't find the woman particularly attractive. But one time,
There's nothing more
I'm doing
English
some
than have a cup of tea
experimenting on
instead of
Bumble.
sex.
Exactly. But I was chatting to this girl on Bumble a few years ago, and she was quite into some like kind of kinky stuff and everything. And we started like a little bit of flirty, we went off onto WhatsApp, and there was a little bit of flirty backwards and forwards about like, oh, come round and I'll do this, we'll do that, blah blah blah. And I was staying in a building in central London in a temporary place while I was getting my house sorted out. And so I got her to come over there for some reason, and she came right up to the flat. And I thought, well, this is going to be awesome. This is just going to be on and happy days. She turns up, and of course, she didn't quite look like the pictures. She was carrying a little bit more weight than had seemed to be apparent in the pictures. And mate, I just wasn't feeling it. Do you know what I mean? I just wasn't feeling it. The face was okay, but the chassis, as we say in England, was, it left a little to be desired. So, I like, we chatted for a bit, and then I said to her, listen, I've got to get up early tomorrow. I really need to go to bed now. And she was looking at me like a ghast, and she was like, well, don't you want to like do anything? And I was like, no. And then she literally said, anything you want to do, we'll do it. I was like, no, seriously, I'm good.
Anything you want.
Yeah.
Thank you, I am repulsed, madam.
It wasn't a power play or anything. It was just literally, I just wasn't feeling it. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I don't know if I've got enough Viagra left to really make this happen.
Which in itself is a power play in itself. The real game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was I'm gonna answer this one too myself real quickly. Yes, definitely, and particularly back when I think I'm gonna have been 21, 22. And I was just, I just started my my fun years, right? My rock star 20s, as I've referred to them. I had gotten to a point finally, like where, I can remember back in my blue pill days, I couldn't even imagine turning down sex. Like if a girl said, "Oh, you want to have sex?" Yeah, okay. And I finally gotten to a point of, I guess, if in a red pill sense, it would be called abundance, right? You have enough women that you have options, right? So that you can be a little bit more selective. And it was at that point that I sort of realized, I understood like sort of the power of being non-exclusive and the power of spinning plates. And I can remember being in a hot tub with this one girl who was just a bit too thick for me. Like I like, like thin, young, good looking girl, like younger, hotter, tighter, that was the whole thing, especially back then too. And I was getting that regularly enough that I was like, nah, I'm good. And you're 100% right, Troy. So the minute you do that, I think most women expect men to be so thirsty that they're just glad to be, getting their dick wet kind of thing. And when they're with a guy who can turn down sex, that is like a demonstration of higher value in the sense that it sort of telegraphs this, like manifests this behavior, telegraphs this attitude that like, no, there's other women that want to have sex with me and I'm really not into it right now. I'll call you later, thanks, but no thanks kind of thing. And there is definitely a power to that. But I think that a lot of guys really kind of, particularly when they're blue pill or they're just coming into this, they think that that's a flex. They think that like, oh, I've turned down sex before. Like they think that, so you're so cool that you can do that. They're still stuck in that idea of like, if a girl wants to have sex with you, then you do, you hit whatever opportunity you get because they're still in that like scarcity mindset. And so it's really hard. I think that's one of the really hard transitions a lot of guys have when they're listening to someone like me or anybody on this panel for that matter, talking about like, I've got this notch count and I've turned down this girl and I've nailed centerfolds or swimsuit models or whatever it is. And now I'm a little bit more sexually selective. When you say that, I think that the attitude of most guys, particularly in a gynocentric social order, is such that first of all, they think you're either a misogynist, you're lying, or you're that stereotypical asshole guy that all women are going to dislike because you're like full of yourself. You're conceited enough to be able to like sort of turn down sex if that's what you want to do. I got another question here. I'm kind of blasting through these. So if you guys really
hold on
want
a sec, Rollo.
I want to roll on one.
you can answer that. Go ahead. Okay,
Let's go, man.
Let's go with Rich first. Rich, have you turned down sex? Go ahead. You can pipe up if you want to answer these.
Yeah, this was like one of the funnest things. One of the things that I enjoy the most, actually. But I've done it quite a few times. There was one story that I put in my book. So those that have read it know what it is, but you should read it if you haven't. But I'm going to share this other story that didn't make it in the book. There was this girl that I used to work with when I was 29, I think. She was about the same age. She was definitely at the epiphany phase. She was feeling it. And she's like, hey, you want to grab some lunch? I'm like, okay. I figured, I'd go out with her. She's a redhead. I'm not big into redheads. This is more like Aaron Cleary's thing. And but if you set aside the redhead and the freckles and the really super fair skin and all that, she was probably like an objective 8 or 9 or so. But she was pretty hot. So she sits me down at lunch and she goes, I think I'm gonna have a baby. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you were pregnant. Congratulations. She goes, well, no, I'm not. I go, well, what's the plan then? And then she just sits there and stares at me and she goes, I'm looking at it. I was like, no, I love that shit. It ain't happening. No, you're gonna have to find somebody else, man.
Yeah, that sounds pretty redhead. Story checks out.
Yeah. Okay, Paul, go ahead. You wanted to get in on this one.
Yeah, so nowadays when I turn down sex all the time from chicks because she's not a good match for my chick. So that's kind of like I'm in an LTR, right? So I'll get girls that will want to pull me away from my LTR instead of join and be a part of the circle. You know what I mean? And then that's when the most blatant one, we're at a house party about 2 weeks ago, I want to say. And there's this chick that she was so blatant. She was trying to feed me like food. Like she had made all the food for this party and she was like trying to like feed it to me. Here, try this. And she kept doing that. And then she's like, well, I want you to, I really want you guys to come over, to my place or whatever, maybe in a week or two. And she was referring to my chick and me, but she's really referring to me. And she's like giving me take my phone number. And I'm just like, well, yeah, just search me up on Instagram or whatever, it's usually what I do. And she's like, oh no, take my phone number and all this stuff. And then like, she pulled my girl over, and she's like, oh, I'm giving him my phone number or whatever. Like, oh, I just want to make sure it's cool. And my chick's like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. And she's like, yeah, go ahead and put me in a side bitch. That's what she said. Right in front of my girl, got pissed, dude. and so obviously she's turned down. You know what I mean? And that's those are the situations. I get these girls, they're trying to pull me away from the LTR instead of be in it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So anyways,
all right, here's lightning round question because I have a follow-up for this. So just give me numbers here, okay? What is the most plates you've spun at one time? Ryan, go.
I think 3.
Actively and inactively. I mean, like you're actually like nailing like this girl plus like whatever.
Yeah, actively is 3. I don't know what the difference between inactively and actively is.
Inactively means not like you're not actually banging her, but like she's sort of on the hook.
Oh, then in that case, 4 billion.
So 3 concurrently, anyways.
Yeah, 3 concurrently. I don't know there's always acquaintances, so I couldn't count acquaintances. I never kept track of it like that. I just had people I knew.
Mm-hmm. Troy, how many active and inactive?
Active 5, inactive hard to say because it's maybe sort of 8 or 10 or something like that. But active 5, and that was tiring.
Okay, Rich, active and inactive, like concurrent plus like girls sort of like that are possibilities.
Just spinning, I'd say 8 or so at the same time. That's exhausting. I wouldn't recommend it. Active,
I'd say how many were you getting laid with?
Yeah, I'd say active probably, I don't know, 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Paul.
7 in the same week was really bad. That was just not good. Inactive, I can't say. That's like a notch count. I don't even track. I don't even know. You know what I mean? Because I'm not paying attention and I don't care. So,
John, actively having, concurrently having sex with, and like on the side, possibilities, potentials.
Like 5 and then 15.
5 and 15.
Yeah, because awesome. I do a lot of the online dating. I have a lot of I have a steady influx.
Okay, I'll answer mine is 4 concurrent, and then 7 inactively was like at my best back in my 20s. I was probably what I was doing. I was double shifting, and you know what double shifting is, right? Yeah. Okay, so the follow-up question. The reason I'm asking it because here's the follow-up question. How did you handle a time of having no plates whatsoever? Let's start with Rich. How did you handle a time of having 0 plates? Like, were you in like a dry spell? What did you do in the dry spell?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. That was such a long time ago.
Because I get this question from guys all the freaking time. I'm in a dry spell. How do I get out of it?
I think that happened in my 20s the most, if I'm being honest. And I used to get on my motorcycle and just hang out with my friends. I didn't really care, to be honest with you. I mean, I wasn't sitting around moping about it or playing video games or watching.
You weren't actively trying to like get out of your slump. You weren't slump busting.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I would talk to women when I saw them when I was out, but I didn't really care. I mean, I had my motorcycle, I had my friends. We just kind of hung out and, stirred up trouble.
Just waited it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Ryan, have you ever had 0 plates, like a dry spell? And what did you do about the dry spell?
All the time. And to be fair, most of the time I ended up having work fill that void. So if I had a dry spell, it was so short a time that I never really had time to sulk and mope about it. And then beyond that, how do I deal with that? I don't know if you want how graphic description you want here, but the same way everybody does.
I think a lot of guys end up thinking that it is synonymous with like sulk and mope and be like, destitute and
I get that. Yeah, no, never that stuff. When you're hungry, do you sit here start crying about not eating, or do you go find a way to make a sandwich?
Right.
It's basically how I looked at it. I don't know. I don't get these existential crisis over it. It sucks.
I love it.
It sucks, but I'm not about to go full Rouge, take some mushrooms, and find God.
Don, when was the last time you had a dry spell?
Well, there's levels. The new dry spells when you become like a top tier womanizer is like the new dry spells. Like, oh, I didn't get some new pussy in a long time. Like pussy is a regular. I can't even tell you. But I tell you what, when I'm down and out, I will fuck a fat bitch. I have no shame.
That's the next follow-up to this. And I'll just throw that out there anyways. Like, have you ever slump busted?
Yeah, hell yeah. I got no shame, bro. I'm not trying to act like I'm some perfect guy. I'm just the average man just broadcasting his life to the world. But I'll be honest, like sometimes, and to be honest with you, like there's a certain type of fat chick that looks good. Not like, I'm not talking like, Walmart fat. Just like like Rubenesque. You know what I mean?
Rubenesque.
Yeah. Healthy
Troy,
breeder type.
Had a dry spell, and what do you do when you have no plates?
Well, I think a dry spell. I mean, yes, I have.
You go monk mode.
Go monk mode, grow a beard. Yeah, back in the day, I've certainly had them, and I think it's good. Sometimes there used to be. I don't know if they talked about this on So Suave, but there used to be a concept actually in the pickup community that was like, just clear the decks every so often. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's quite good, particularly if you're in like flaky kind of relationships that are, things that aren't really going anywhere. Sometimes just clear the deck so you've got nothing. Then your back's up against the wall. Then you've got to make something happen, and then you just got to go out there, put yourself out there, and just meet new people, and they will come into your life. So I don't think there's anything wrong with having a dry spell. I think it's a challenge and it can be a reset. Have I ever slump busted? Yeah,
yes, you have.
To a certain extent. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, mate. It's like I need the old Cialis. Just
even Brad Pitt slept with Melissa McCarthy. Every guy has.
Let me hit Paul real quick too. Have you ever slump busted, Paul? I think maybe that's a better question.
Yes, look at this man. Of course he has.
You know, I mean, yeah, you know, I'll slump bust a couple right there at the same time. I remember, so actually that was one of the most interesting slump busting experiences. When I was younger. I was going for this one chick, and like her fat friend wanted me, and so we ended up both having a time, and a fat friend was really fat. Like she was really fat. It was a foursome. I had a foursome with two girls. So that's how big she was.
Wow.
Even turns a slump buster into a flex. Well done, sir. Well done.
You're welcome. I just tried to focus on the better looking one. It was sort of yeah.
Oh man. Yes, I have slump busted once. Thank you very much. I will leave it at that. Okay, here's the next question. These are going to be really fun. Okay, so I think I know what most of your answers are going to be for this one. So, dress style you use for going out on the town and social functions. What is your style? Like the way you dress, the way you present yourself. What would you call if you could put a name on it, or what? Like describe what you look like and how you present yourself when you are out. Like just say like sarging or whatever. I hate to even use the term sarging, but like you're available, you're putting yourself out there. What do you look like? Let's go with Ryan first.
It's actually not the shirt.
Ryan's sarging right now.
Style 2000s metrosexual.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the best one. I remember my stomping grounds, faux hawks, pop collars, fancy shirts with like tribal images on them. I would always go closer to suit and tie than I would to be hoodies and jeans. But yeah, 2000s metrosexual, 100%.
Do you think okay, I'm gonna move on here a second. But do you think that like presenting yourself as far as like being like suit and tie guy or versus Hawaiian shirt guy, is one more effective for you than the other?
It's weird. A lot of it was right place, right time, and it didn't matter what I wore. So I don't think it would have mattered, but it matters in the sense that if I dress a certain way, I present myself in a certain way, I actually feel a certain way. Like if I dress like a slob, I'm probably going to be less confident to approach. Mm-hmm. So when you put some care into your appearance, you're actually going to act with more care socially, I find. So it's not so much whether I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt or not, but is that Hawaiian shirt, have I put an iron through it, or did I just pull it out of my wallet? You know what I mean?
I hear you. Okay, John, my favorite answer is going to be from you. So let me set you up for this one real quick, because when I see your like trailer videos, you are completely dressed different and you present yourself way more different than you do when you're doing your shows. So describe yourself stylistically, and what is your like philosophy on style and the way that you present yourself?
Well, I mean, ultimately I dress for the Tokyo scene, which is completely different from America. But if I were to put a name on it, it would probably be like a smart business casual. And so I like to wear collared shirts, long sleeve and short sleeve. Fresh shaved haircut the day before, so it looks good. A little bit of jewelry here and there. I do like the designer brands, and it is Tokyo, so fashion does matter here. Americans don't seem to realize how much of the nation dresses like slobs.
Mm-hmm.
When you like go outside to like Europe and Asia, everybody like dresses pretty well. You're like, oh wow, people actually put girls here in Japan put on makeup to go to 7-Eleven, just when they're gonna go quickly grab something. So the nation really cares about their appearance. So yeah, I would say like a smart business casual. But when I'm going out to pick up chicks, make sure you got to pump the day of. Make sure you look good, and I like to have like a nice pair of slacks, good pair of shoes, and then in the summer, short sleeve, nice name brand collared shirt, and make sure your game's tight and teeth are white. You'll be all right. Yeah.
Troy, stylistically, you have a very different style than most of the rest of us here when it comes to like, how would you describe yourself stylistically?
Degenerate English gentleman stroke Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode stage clothes.
Right.
I mean, I like the jackets. I mean, the kind of stuff I wear on these shows, really. I like the jackets. I got this kind of velvet line jacket on here. I quite like doing a t-shirt underneath it sometimes, but I do like well-made shirts as well. Kind of slim jeans, Chelsea boots, that kind of thing. Nice coat, well structured coat. So yeah, that kind of thing, really. I mean, I suppose it's a smart casual look if you want to cast it in that light. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm into, and it's done me a lot of favors. I think if you think, right, what sort of image do I want to put across, and then dress to that image, then it really does help. I remember one girl I ended up pulling. I was working in the store Harrods, and I walked in. And I had this great coat at the time with this furry collar. And she said, "Oh, that looked a bit like something Putin would wear." And she said that was one of the first things that she noticed about me, and she made me think, "Oh, this guy's kind of interesting or whatever." So then we got eye contact. I got a number. We started going out. Blah 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 blah. So the right clothes really really can help if it accentuates your personality.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Rich, do you want to answer this? Because I got a question for you and Paul next, that sort of like springboards from this. But go ahead. What stylistically? What do you think?
Changed a lot over time. I figured out two looks that kind of worked for me real well. One was like a nice black fitted Zara t-shirt, because I'm pretty jacked. So you throw that on in the summertime with a nice pair of like expensive jeans that fit you properly with a brown belt, some brown shoes, and some nice socks. That usually works pretty well. But aside from that, I'm kind of in John's camp too, like more of a business casual. Like I have a whole array of fitted dress shirts that are like tailor-made dress, like coats and jackets and pants and all that, which I almost never wear for like podcasts. I don't think I've ever worn one, sitting here. But if you saw me out in an event, like that I know how to dress smart.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to ask this for you, and I'll pass it off to Paul here in just a second too, because I know that you and Paul, and I mean maybe to a lesser degree, John is as well. But like I think everybody on this panel and pretty much everybody we work with on the Rule Zero crew, you all work out and you all have an exercise regimen. So let me ask you this, Rich: do you have like a program that you do like exercise wise, and what does your kind of physical fitness look like for Rich Cooper at your age? What are you, 44 now? What is 47. It? 47. What is your exercise regimen, and if you have any sort of philosophy about that? Like what are you doing physically right now?
So as far as physical movement, I do some form of cardio for at least 45 minutes a day. So whether it's walking or riding my bike or something, I get the heart rate up for at least 45 minutes because that's good for you. And then I lift probably 3 to 4 days a week. So I've got a gym in my basement now since the gyms have been closed here for a year. I just gave up on trying to get into a gym, and I just bought a rack and got some weights and a Olympic bar and some dumbbells and stuff. So I'm pretty much set up real well in my basement now. So I just go down for about 45 minutes usually every other day, and just pick up heavy stuff and put it down.
Mm-hmm. Do you have like a program? Do you have anything that you follow, or is it just like
yeah? Like I'll do push-pull days, or I'll do like I'll try to tie in my like arms with my legs, because that's always a pretty good combo. Or if I'm doing back, I'll do like back and bis, and chest and tries, or maybe shoulders and traps. Like I usually group muscle groups together properly.
Mm-hmm. Paul, you're jacked. What do you do? What do you do in the gym?
Not really much. I just just do curls on the squat rack. You know what I mean? Just stare at people, stand really close to them when they're on the lat pull down machine. Then I go home.
touch your belly button while you watch girls work out.
Yep, yeah, that's it. I get the machine right
go-to.
across the adductor thing that some chicks on. Just spreading it. You know what I mean? Are you done with that yet? Then I just smell it.
You don't need to wipe that down.
Oh man.
I take film her on it while I'm about, I would say right now about 4 days in the week lifting. I'm about to roll into a cut here. I'm just now getting my diet sort of squared away, and then I'm going to start gradually cutting some things down. When I cut, I don't do any cardio at first. Because every week I'm aiming for a couple of pounds, a pound to 2 pounds of fat loss a week. Anything more than that's going to be too rapid, or you'll start to lose muscle tissue. So I try to start with no cardio, actually lifting, and then I start to add my cardio activity into my program, and as I cut calories, you know what I mean? And so I maintain that deficit, keep the metabolism high so I can get shredded, for summer. But I'm always setting a goal though. That's the thing. I can't just work out to work out. I always set a goal. And my cardio usually consists of combat sports. Yeah. So, but, even if just boxing lately, just because of the COVID restrictions.
John, machines or free weights? Go.
My gym that I just moved, I have Anytime Fitness, right? So this gym that I just moved next to, it's awful. It's like the size of a lunchbox. It's so small. So I'm confounded to like a lot of machines. There's like one bench press in the whole gym. So what I do right now is I go and exercise. I do weights for about 45 minutes, and then I just do cardio for 30 minutes. Right now, I'm doing the body language mastery webinars, so my health is in shambles. And they finish on Friday, and I look forward to having my life back.
Are you still doing jujitsu or whatever, your judo or whatever it was you were doing?
When I was doing jujitsu, but I moved to a new area. There's a new gym right here that has kickboxing and jujitsu. I went and talked to the owner the other day after being back in Tokyo from the USA trip. But right now, just working out. But I do get the itch to hit the bag very bad every month. So there's a gym around the corner that I have to get in a taxi to, and I hit the bag once in a while. But this kickboxing gym, it's fun when somebody holds the mitts and you can practice power plus accuracy, and it feels you feel cool when you're hitting all the combinations. It's a good time. Good. So I like to do that. If I can't fight, I just feel like, why am I even a man? If I can't defend myself physically, that's just my bar for health is like, can I still beat someone's ass if they attack me? So that's my fitness regimen there.
Ryan, how are things at Planet Fitness?
Dude, Toronto has been just cancer. They closed down gyms since March. Jesus. So I've had to buy like some Power Block Chinese knockoff 50-pounders, and I have them in here. My workout programs, though, are generally pretty simple. I'll just stick to like a simple strong list, 5x5, or 2-day splits, push days and pull days. If people don't know, I was actually hit by a car when I first moved to Montreal. I always laugh at that. Went outside the Straits of Hormuz and Somalia pirate hunting, not a scratch on me. I moved to Montreal a week later, car almost kills me. So I actually have some issues with like nerves in my back and leg and that, so I'll never be able to squat heavy again. I do as best I can on them, but I have arthritis in my one hand, so my deadlifts and that, yeah, it's all kind of hurting. But, I wear hooks, work around it. It just means I take up more cardio. I've taken up cycling again because, after getting hit by the car, I took like a year off figuring maybe God doesn't want me to ride a bike. 5Ks, wind sprints, and then beyond that, it's mostly just the diet at this point to keep things on while until Dougie decides, okay, for your health, we're allowed to open up the gyms again. And then beyond that, yeah, just trying to keep like somewhere in like a solid 185 to 190 for the weight, and so far it's pretty good.
Troy, are you working out? You doing anything?
Lifting always seems terribly vulgar somehow.
Really?
I'm only joking. No, I do. Contrary to popular belief, I do actually work out. I do lift. Obviously, at the moment, all the gyms are closed here. They've been closed since about October, I think. So I bought, I've got a couple of dumbbells. and I've got a bar as well. So I've just been doing some stuff with that. Under normal circumstances when the gyms are open, I like to go, 4 or 5 times a week. I generally go like Monday to Friday, take the weekends off. But I'm a big fan of cardio as well. I do love running. And I think I like running. I mean, obviously, to some degree, it keeps you in shape, but I just love getting outside and, it just really clears your head. I think psychologically it's really great. So I'm a big fan of running as well. So obviously I've been doing that during the lockdown as well. I also just recently bought a skipping rope as well, which, the old boxing training thing. And I've been practicing with that. And that's, I think that's been quite a good addition, actually, because for high intensity training, it damn well gets your heart rate up. And so I'm quite enjoying that as well. So yeah, combination of those things.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I had no, it's funny because I don't think I've ever, I'm not fitness guy. Like I talk to Myron and I see what Myron does, his fitness programs. Like he was fitness guy before he became, Fresh Fit Podcast. I think he still does fitness stuff as well.
Yeah.
But there's guys in the sphere, like Drew Bay is another guy that I think of. There's a lot of guys who are like sort of that's their niche, is the fitness niche. And then they kind of just sort of, I guess, peripherally find their way into the manosphere. And so I'm always curious to know like what people's sort of programs are. This is a good question here. There you go. Sorry. Are you happy now? How had combat sports affected your results with women? Also, okay, and I hit the thing for you. There you go. I can actually answer that. I have done. Well, I hate to say what I do martial arts wise, because as soon as you say, oh yeah, I do Taekwondo or whatever, I do this or jujitsu or Brazilian jiu-jitsu, whatever it is. As soon as you do that, there's going to be like this brigade of experts and like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You need to learn Aikido, or you need to know do this or that, whatever. I have done Taekwondo in my past. I've also done Kali, and then I've been a competitive fencer for a very long time.
I didn't know you were in Taekwondo, dude.
I did for a very long time.
Black belt, the Taekwondo black belt.
I think everybody that's like the starter drug for martial arts. It's like when you're a kid, they put you kid, okay, put them into Taekwondo.
Well, for us, it was 8-year-old karate. It was college Taekwondo. That's funny.
Yeah.
Three of us here, WTF guys.
I graduated to college after that, but yeah. So I'll just pass this around. Whoever wants to answer this, what if you are in any kind of combat sports, or you practice any kind of martial arts, or have in the past, has that affected your results with women?
I think
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
They couldn't give a fuck for me.
Right, John.
Yeah, I'll just. So I wrestled for 2 years in high school, and wrestling is the hardest sport you can do. I think the only thing that's harder is like rowing crew, which Myron Gaines he did. He was a rower, but wrestling is like you got to be in really good shape, and there's no team. There's nothing. It's you and the other guy, and if you lose, it's 100% your fault, and if you win, it's 100% your fault. So, going out there. I don't like losing it. Like when somebody tells me it's just a game, I'm like, no, fuck you. Like I don't play it. Like I'm a terrible loser and I'm a very awful winner, but I just want to win. And I think it gives you more of a competitive edge too. And it gives you an unspoken confidence that a lot of people can't really, you can't get any other way. Because I don't care how much you know how to lift. I don't care how strong you are, how much you squat. If you can't stop somebody from choking you out, beating your ass, like those are vanity muscles. Those are cute little accessories. I mean, yeah, they're good. They're good for getting bitches and whatever. That's fine. But I don't want to be humiliated by some other man because I didn't take the time to learn how to physically defend myself.
Right.
So I wrestled 2 years in college. Then I did many years Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and then I did like 2-3 years now of Muay Thai, and it's good. It's good. I definitely know that's my one thing I love in life is being able to go to the gym, hit pads, grapple. It's a good time. It's fun.
Rich, do you do any martial arts?
I used to until they shut down the dojos since Marchish, I think. They were open for about 30 or 40 days in the summer, and then they had to close down again. But yeah, you'll get shit tested by chicks like, oh, do you even know how to use that? Is that something you can use in real life? And I was like, yeah, here, come at me like this is a knife. And, you can move so quickly and take it out of their hands and turn it around on them. They're like, ooh, okay, that's kind of hot. So, yeah. But more importantly, I mean, you should be doing it for yourself, not for women.
Right, exactly. But I mean, as far as, and I can answer this a little bit too, is I have been a competitive kind of guy for a long time, whether that's even competition and just like even my hobbies is something that I like to do just because it gives you sort of a goal. So like, how can you improve? How can you sort of move up to the next level? And I didn't really understand that until I started taking fencing. And then I of course, everybody starts out with foil. And then I moved up to something a little bit more robust, like I fence saber now. So, which is more fun, right? It's more active. It's more proactive. It's more aggressive. I also learned that violence or a capacity for violence is something that women get turned on by. Now, again, yes, you should want to be able to defend yourself and be able to have at least some sort of competitive capacity to beat the shit out of us, or actually the will to actually hurt somebody if need be, right? And I think that's something that will in some way affect your I guess attitude or your effect on women when it comes to stuff like that. I've said this in the past is that the capacity for violence is a very primal form of DHV, which is demonstrating higher value. And so I think that, and I don't know if this is true. This is just me spitballing here. But I think that a lot of women can kind of get that from your attitude, or they can read that on you from like day one. Like they can see, like, if you're jacked, that's one thing, but it's another thing to have the attitude and the confidence that comes from that capacity to actually use violence. So, okay, I got a question. I think Troy, you're probably the best one to ask this one for, and this will be we'll wrap up after this one. For meeting girls in the past, which way was the most successful in your point of view, and have you tried all of these venues? So, for example, day game, social circle game, online social media, which I think everybody is doing right now, online dating, clubs, vacation, through family, work, whatever else. What has been like the best, most successful venue, let's just say, for meeting girls and like converting them into plates, or getting after it with them?
Well, yeah, I've done all of them at different times, and I've done them all consecutively at certain points as well. And I mean, they can all be effective, but I would say that I think as a skill, I think daytime approach is just really, really something that it's worth learning and getting under your belt, because then you can use it literally anywhere. You can use it if you're in the dry cleaners, you're in the supermarket, you're in Whole Foods. It doesn't matter. You can use it. You've just got to have that ability to be able to walk up, just have a conversation. Just say, "Hey, I just saw you. You look cute. I wanted to come over and just say hi. I knew I'd regret it if I didn't." Right? Just the ability to do that, as simple as it sounds, that is just going to set you apart from like 95% of other guys. I mean, clubs. I've had a lot of. So in saying that, probably ratio-wise, if you're going to look at it on an ROI basis, probably you could say I've had the most success in clubs, just because they're more geared up towards. You meet the girl and it's more likely that something's going to happen that same night. Although it can happen through daytime as well. But so in that narrow sense, maybe clubs have been more successful. But I think getting that daytime skill set has just changed up the game for me enormously. Because then I realized I go into London, and before you'd see all these girls and you think, oh, if only I'd seen her at the bar last night, because I could have talked to her. And then you realize, well, hang on a minute, I can talk to her now. And that just opened whole world for you. Dating apps, obviously use those, had successes on those as well. I know John's a big exponent and other people, and I get it. I'm totally on board with it, but I do think just that ability to just go up and interact with someone in real life, it's just a game changer as far as I'm concerned.
Rich, where have you been most successful with women? Like what arena, let's just say, social, online, blah, blah, blah.
Online for sure. Apps are like, once you crack the code, and you know how to get good photography, get your bio down pat, message them right, and set everything up from there. Easily, the apps out like destroy everything for me. But that was just my experience. I mean, like, I know that Troy's like cold approach guy. I never did real well with that. I didn't do a lot of it too, if I'm being honest. But at the same time, yeah, like I was always way better with success using digital dating, I guess. A buddy of mine when I was in my early 30s that I was living with used to call me, what do you used to call me, like digi-pimp or something like that, or digital pimp?
John, where are you most successful with women, and what venue, let's just say? Unmute yourself, brother. Wait, I'll unmute. Oh, you go ahead.
Definitely online. Dude, listen, there is nothing more validational when you match up with a chick and you show up at her place. And she's like, what are you going to do? Like, I don't know. We're just going to hang out. And then within 5 minutes, you're fucking her. That is like, that is for me, it's efficient because it's all I want, right? I don't care about your cat. I don't care about your day. I don't care about anything. I want to show up. I want to fuck you, and I want to disappear. And if you crack the code, like Rich says, and you look good and you have game and you have your shit together, dude, it's easy picking. And the girls, they'll show up at your front door too. They will, there's guys in my community that these chicks are driving across state lines, breaking Corona, laws or whatever. Yeah, just to get some dick. And it's online dating. It's so validational for me, and it's so efficient because they all end up wanting to stick around after. And it's just like, come do my bidding. It's just perfect. It's perfect life for me.
Ryan, what's been in the past? What's been the most successful for you?
For Sarging night game, for close rate social circle game, for building a network night game. Day game was okay, and I never was a big fan of online game, but I did it a bit. I kind of differ from John this way. He just wants to ejaculate and evacuate. I enjoyed the process. I didn't even care if I got the notch that night or not, but just getting better at pickup is like a skill, which I know sounds cringe as fuck, but that's the part I found fun. Going out, having fun, hitting on girls, bringing one home, de-stressing after a heavy workload. Foreign ports, pretty much you have to be night game because you're caught in a foreign port. You have from 5 in the evening until 3 in the morning, well, 7 in the morning, and then you got to get back to ship anyway. So for me, it was mostly just that's what I had to work with, so that's what I used. But the only thing is, it is online game. Not a big fan of it. I hate texting. I hate phone calls. I hate Zoom meetings, all that crap. It's just like giving away free validation for something. And if it works for you, power to you. Like I said, it's like playing Madden instead of going out and having a pickup football game with your buddies to me. So,
yeah. Paul, what's your best venue? Let's just say what works best for you.
Jeez. Well, definitely in person, cold approach type stuff. It's just so effortless. For me, it's effortless. You know what I mean? You get to a point where it's just so, I don't know, it's just so easy. And the thing is, I can vet very quickly that way too, where online, a lot of women will, I found that it's more time of an investment, actually for me anyway, to be online, because I could just go to a coffee house or a bar or something and hang out for a bit. Even if I take my laptop or whatever and go by myself, and I'm almost guaranteed to have a number or two before I go, or, social media exchange, which, ends up to a DM exchange and ends up to a meetup later. So that was my thing, but I do enjoy all of it, kind of like Ryan, though. I enjoy the process too. I enjoy getting better at it. I enjoy with my clients, helping them get better too, especially with the online communication now and using the apps. I'm not much of a technology guy, but communication is communication. You know what I mean? And so if you are good at that, how to communicate and basically move a girl along from a cold circumstance or a match on a dating app or whatever to a meetup, and then in the meetup move from that to sleeping with her if that's what you want, right? If that's what you decide you want to do with this girl. Yeah, I just like the whole process. And so it's fun, me helping, like, a lot of dudes are bringing their matches and all their stuff, and I'm helping them with their game, you know what I mean, on the internet, and it's pretty rewarding.
Cool. All right, we are 5 minutes from 2 hours, so I'm going to end it here. You guys, this has been really informational. I think I don't think we actually get to sort of let people know what we're about and what what our backgrounds are and everything else, and hopefully people get a better idea. Ryan, what do you have going on in the coming week?
Practical Female Psychology is coming up for the Sidebar series. Beyond that, dude, I'm coming out with so many videos, with so much good content, with so many like fundamental things that if I give you guys a shopping list of it, it'll bore you. So I guarantee you I can put more out than you can watch. So just come check out the channel. Sign into the newsletter. You're going to see the progress from the second book as it comes up. I occasionally live stream it too. And beyond that, you know where to find me.
You got it. Troy, what's going on with you this week?
Yeah, come over to my channel. Just search Troy Francis on YouTube. Subscribe. Hit the notifications bell. I'm doing a series of shows at the moment. A lot of them with Jack Napier, where we are breaking down The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. John's been on as well. If any of you guys fancy coming on, I'd love to have you. Basically, just going through the material chapter by chapter, because I think it's such a great book and there's so much actionable stuff. So we'll be continuing with that next week. So just come over to my channel, subscribe, and I'll see you over there.
Nice. John, what's going on with you this week? I know you're doing your body language mastery still.
Dude Party is going to be on my channel right after this. So come watch. We're talking about what it takes to be a high value man. And I just went to America. So, the Chad in Asia is different from the Chad in Europe, which is different from the one in America. So we're going to talk about America right now. And Martin Gaines is coming on with me on Dude Party. And then this week, I'm doing a whole series on how a winner lives his life. We did how a loser lives his life. And for all you guys that are in cryptocurrency, on Wednesday, I'll be doing my Tokyo Crypto Show as usual.
My new favorite show.
Yep, been doing it since 2019, Q1. I knew this moment would be here. We planned ahead, and here we are in the thick of it. Bitcoin will be $100,000 this year, and I'll be broadcasting it the entire way. And then we're gonna tell you when to get your money out too. Not financial advice. Don't listen to me. Just watch. Just have fun.
Paul, what's going on with you this week?
Well, just get on my channel for any updates. Really, Apex Mindset on YouTube. That's the best thing. I got a number of projects I'm working on. I won't bore you too much with it. That's it. I mean, Rich, I'll let Rich talk about it because he knows more about what's going on with this. But we're doing a podcast, I guess, tomorrow. So I don't know anything though. How you guys are going to get on that? So I'll let Rich answer.
All right, Rich, what do you got going on, Rich?
Yeah, so to that point, we're doing a show live tomorrow. I put it on this app called Stereo. So if you follow me on Instagram, it's in the stories. It tells you how to get to it. Or on Twitter, it'll tell you how to get to it. It's basically a live show. Paul and I will be just chopping it up live. You'll be able to do these little recordings and ask questions and interact. So it's on tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The unofficial day, it's considered Valentine's Day by most, but the unofficial day is actually Steak and BJ Day. And Monday on my Before the Train Wreck, I'm doing a cast on how age gap between partners affects their survival and happiness. So I'll be talking about that because I see a lot of dudes dating older women, which is the complete wrong way to approach it. So check that out Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I noticed that too, man. I got a lot of guys hitting me up in my my chats and everything, or my emails as well. They're hitting me up saying, "Oh, I'm 27. And the girl I have kids with is 36."
Yeah.
What?
What are you doing, dude?
Yeah, right. To complicate your life. I will be on tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on this channel. If you're watching this, you probably already know that. I will be talking about I have this ongoing series right now about aspects of game and why game works and the sort of the fundamentals of it. I'm not going to teach you PUA. I'm going to tell you why those things work. So that is coming up tomorrow, again, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Also, be sure to check the blog. I'm working on new material and new content for my blog, which I still love. I still love my blog. And another just real quick announcement, starting in March, the first week of March, I'm going to be going back out to Miami once again to do a quick hit double show. Actually, there's going to be several other people that are going to be out there. One of them, we're trying to work out. Hopefully it works out. Aaron Clary, myself and Aaron Clary might be on Fresh Fit podcast the first week of March. So that's something to look forward to. And we have other special guests too that are either confirmed or unconfirmed, but Aaron's probably the one you guys all know. So anyways, that's the show today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for participating and being so open and vulnerable with all of your answers. I think this was really fun and useful for guys. So that's it for today. And be sure to go over to John's channel and check out the Hot Dude Army over there. And that's it for us. Thanks, guys.